Now today we're looking at power windows, and this is a request from a viewer that recently lost their job. They're having trouble with their vehicle. The local mechanic wants 150 bucks to diagnose, not repair it, just to diagnose what's going on. And per the email, again, they lost their job, and understandably 150 bucks is a lot of money, so I'm happy to help out here. And I'll show you 3 things you can quickly check without ripping apart your door panel and checking the regulator. Okay, so save yourself some time right here, right off the bat. Number 1 is the switch itself. And we'll jump over to the vehicle in a moment just to see how to remove this. Easy enough, really. They're just clips, very strong clips. But now we can test the switch on the bench. I'll show you how. Number 2, of course, is the fuse. Now, there's not one fuse, at least on a modern vehicle, there's not one fuse that controls all of the windows. You have one fuse for the front driver's side, another fuse for the front passenger side, so on and so forth, okay? And I'll help you decipher the correct fuse regarding that. And number 3 is the relay. So let's start with this. Let's jump over to the vehicle. I'll show you where this lives, how to remove it. We'll test it. We'll look at the switch. Again, of course, the fuse, just to make sure that's in good shape. If everything looks okay, it's most likely the regulator, and I can give you a tip on how to save some cash on that as well. Now, the first step is just locating where the relay lives. Now, if you're not too sure, just do a quick web search specific for your vehicle. If you still have trouble, just check out a forum specific for your vehicle, and very often you can pick up exactly where these relays and the fuses live. In my case, they're in the kick panel, driver's side, right next to the throttle and the brake pedal. And if you pull this back, really right off the bat, you can do a couple of things. You can actually check the fuses first. So if we take a look right here, we have P/W, that's power window. So power window rear left, power window rear right. This is the power window passenger side, power window driver's side. So for example, if I have trouble on the, let's say the driver's side, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's this guy right here. So you can pull, let me grab a puller. You can pull this fuse. By the way, if you don't see a puller in this compartment, check under the hood. Very often they have another compartment of where the relays are, and they'll have this puller in that compartment. I'll show you a picture in a moment. So we can say, hold on, let me do it this way. So as you can see, this fuse is fine. So we know the fuse is okay, but now we need to get to the relay, which lives behind this plastic cover. Now the best way to remove this plastic trim piece is with a trim removal tool set. They're like 10, 11 bucks. Makes the job so much easier. You don't beat up your fingers. I do have one, but a friend of mine is currently using it. But I'll show you exactly what it looks like in a moment here. But that being said, all the tools that you see here today, I'll have links to our Amazon affiliate site if you happen to need anything. So I think we'll be okay, though. In my case, we can just simply lightly pull back on the plastic. There's just, on the rear of these, they're heavy-duty clips. Just be gentle because you don't want to break anything. If you do break one of these panels, probably eBay is your best bet. You can try Facebook Marketplace, but most likely eBay is going to be your best bet. There we go. So now we have clear access to the relay. In my case, it's this guy right here. We'll just remove it and see what's going on here. Okay, that's it. Now just in case, if I went a little too fast regarding the fuse, if this is new to you, you can tell a fuse is blown just by looking at the circuitry here, and you'll find a break. And if you see that it's blown, then you need to replace it. So in this case, the fuse is in good shape. And now we can look at the relay. A relay is really just a switch. So you have battery voltage. In other words, you have a battery in your car or your vehicle that's 12 volts, most likely. And when you turn the ignition key, power is sent from the battery to the relay, and there's a little arm here that moves and creates a connection. And you will hear that arm move in a moment once I power this up. And then once it's powered, then in this case, it sends power over to the power window motors. But we need to test it. So how do you do that? Well, we need to apply power. Just like if this is, we need to recreate what's going on in the vehicle. Now, we don't have a car battery here. And you can use your car battery, but there's other ways to do it. Number one is, if you're familiar with my videos, you've seen me use, this is an RC battery pack. It's a LiPo, L-I-P-O, LiPo battery pack, but they're expensive, unless you're running RC vehicles. A LiPo battery pack, maybe a cheap one, maybe 35 bucks. But chances are you have something like this. And this is just a 12-volt battery that's used in a cordless Dremel. So in other words, you just need to find a battery source that has 12 volts. And if you take a look here, we have a positive and a negative. So now we can apply, so in other words, what I want to do is take power from this battery pack and send it to the relay. And that's all that we're doing here. Very, very simple. So I'm going to use this, because chances are you have something like this lying around in the garage. So what I have here is a paper clip that I cut in half. I'm just inserting one end of the paper clip into the battery pack, into the positive lead, and this is in the negative lead. Okay, it's just a paper clip, no big deal. Now don't touch these two, because then you'll have a nasty spark and you can kill the battery. Now if you want to actually test the voltage of this, we are going to use this right now. This is a digital multimeter. If you've never used one of these, do not be intimidated by them. This is around $20 off Amazon. You can do so many different things with this. But if we go to volts DC, we can actually see the voltage of this battery pack. There we go, and we have 12.5 roughly volts. So this is good. This is good to go. So what I'm going to do is take power from here again and apply it to this. Now to do that, I just have two wires with alligator clips on the ends. Again, off Amazon. So one end will go. Now this is the thing. How do you know which prong to touch? Well, let's just test them. Let's say we don't know which prong to touch. Okay, now if this is working correctly, you should hear a clicking noise. Like that. Okay, so that's a good sign. It's not foolproof yet, but that's a good sign. But let's say you did it another way. Nothing. Nothing. Let's move this over here. Okay, so you can quickly find out and realize that this is the right connection. As you can see, it doesn't matter if you swap these. Okay, so that's a good, very, very good sign. So I'm going to leave this energized. And I want to see if it's making continuity, if it's making a true connection inside the relay. To do that, again, you need the multimeter. Now in the multimeter, you have an icon. It's called, again, continuity, but it looks like a Wi-Fi hotspot. So if we go to this, again, I have that Wi-Fi hotspot on my screen. If I touch these two leads, okay, that's what you want to hear. So one lead to you want to touch the two prongs that are free right now. So let me actually zoom in. I'm not too sure if you can see this. Okay, so one lead I'll touch on the bottom, another on top, and we should hear continuity, and we do. Okay, so that verifies that the relay is good. If I took away power, then we don't have continuity. Okay, that's simple. So this verifies that the relay is good. Okay, now let's check out the switch. Now again, if I go too fast, just rewind, pause. But once you do it a couple times, it's very, very simple to test these relays. Now removing the switch typically is not that bad. Again, they tend to be held in by very, very strong clips. And if you look right here, some vehicles you may find a little padding right here. They just need to remove, and underneath the padding, you'll find a Phillips size fastener, which we'll remove. Grab a magnetic tool. Okay, let me place the camera down. Now at this point, holding this piece on, or maybe 3 or 4 clips, very, very strong clips, and this is when you need your trim removal kit. You have a number of different adapters and tool pieces. Let me just find something here that's going to work. So what you're going to do, so you can see that there's a cutoff right here. So this is not going anywhere. You know, it's this piece right here. And all that I'm doing is placing the trim piece in here Is it possible to do without the trim piece, the trim tool kit? Yes, but it hurts your fingers like crazy. Take my word for it. You see how strong these clips are? But once you get one going, you're usually in pretty good shape. Okay. And again, if you ever break these, eBay probably is your best bet. Again, Facebook Marketplace, sometimes you'll find someone parting out a car. And you can just get everything you need. Now right here, you have a little tab. You press in this tab and then pull back on the body. Don't pull from the wiring. It's very tempting to do that, but don't do that. Now sometimes they can be really stubborn, and there we go. That took a good minute just getting that out, but that's how you remove one of these pieces. Now let's test it. And to test the switch, again, we are going to use the multimeter. This is really the only tool you need. I mean, the battery pack, chances are you have one in the garage. You can use your car battery, but just you want to be really careful. You're better off just having something like this that can push out 12 volts. That's easy to maneuver around. But now we need to also check for continuity regarding the switch. In other words, when we press the switch down and when it's released. Again, over to continuity on the multimeter. That's the Wi-Fi hotspot. Okay. Which we have right now. Now I don't know, if you take a look at the switch, flip it over, I don't know which prongs to touch. I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. So let's just get our alligator clips. Again, you don't need the alligator clips. It just makes the job super easy. Super, super easy. Okay, now I'm just going to place one. Actually, we don't need two alligator clips now that I think about it. Let's actually do this. We're not going to need one. We only need one, not two. So let's do this. I'm going to place one here. And then what I'm doing is I'm pressing down on the switch. So pressing down on the switch, and I'm just going to touch all of these leads. Okay, now there's continuity there. Let me let go of the switch. Okay, there's no change there. So that's not the one I'm looking for. Okay, let's go over. Press down on the switch. That's me just touching that wire. Okay, nothing here. Okay, do it again for you. Okay, go over to the next one. Press down the switch. Here we go. Okay, now this is it. So watch. I'm on both leads. Press down on the switch. Let go. Okay, so that tells us that this switch is good. So that's how you test the switch, the relay, and the fuse. Now if you still have trouble, chances are it's the window regulator. And you can actually test the wiring going to the regulator. All that you need to do is remove the door panel. And I'm sure there are plenty of YouTube videos showing on how to do this. You remove the door panel, and toward the bottom of the door typically is where you find the regulator. And just like the window switch, you'll find a harness connector plugged into the window regulator. So what you want to do is unplug it and then turn on the ignition key, or you can start the car. But turn on the ignition key, have someone press down the window switch, and with the multimeter, you can verify power is getting to that harness connector. Super, super simple. And chances are, with modern vehicles, the wiring tends to be excellent. Chances are, it's just the regulator. So how do you replace that? Now, I've never done one personally, but what I've done in the past to save me quite a bit of money, and your best job or your best shot is call a local windshield shop. For example, Safelite windshield. There was another one that, I can't remember the name of it right now, to be honest, but it was another company before Safelite. This is how many years I'm going back that used to do this for me, but I would call the local Safelite and ask them, can you replace a window regulator? And their answer was yes, but you have to remove the door panel, and we can replace the regulator for 75 bucks. Again, I'm going back 20 years ago, but they were able to do it. So I removed the door panel, drove my vehicle, and left it at the shop throughout the day. Then later on I would pick it up, the window worked, and then I would reapply or reinstall the door panel. And it was just the easiest thing for me, because if you're not familiar with an interior, the innards of a door, sort of it's pretty sharp. Also, the regulators tend to be riveted, so you have to drill them out, and then you need a rivet gun to reinstall them. You're dealing with the glass, and it's just there's certain things that I know my limitations, and that's one of them. I just don't want to touch it. So that's maybe something you can try. Or even just a local mechanic. Hey, listen, I'll take off the door panel. All I need you to do is just replace the regulator, and I'll reinstall the door panel. And that can save you quite a bit of money. But I hope this gives you a pretty good idea on how to test this guy, the relay, and the fuse. And thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.